Hey there, my name's Ed Felix and I started turning, 23 years ago now. I got bit in high school and I didn't even know it. Back in 1962, I took a wood shop class, and 45, 50 years later, I started wood turning, and now I turn full time. What I'd like to talk to you about today is how I go about making these different kinds of pieces. These are just segmented bowls. This one here is made out of roasted red oak and maple. This one here is made out of purple heart maple and purple heart bottom. This is a little potpourri box that I've slapped together. This is Wenge and maple. I use maple in almost every one of my pieces. And this is a solid piece here. It's not finished yet. It's bloodwood and canary wood. Most of this work is almost always exactly the same. You're going to start off with, what do you want to make? Is it going to be a bowl, a vase, whatever? What materials that you're going to use? What size it's going to be is an important consideration. You'll see in one of the early videos that I do the math equation for that. All of this stuff is exactly repetitive. That's why I like it so much. Okay, the first thing that you try to do is pick out the material that you're going to use. You need to know what size the piece is going to be, and I like to mill all of my pieces to where they're all exactly the same thickness. This is a ring that's been put together, but it hasn't been sanded flat yet. So if these were of a different thickness, then this here would be much harder to sand, and you don't really want to go about doing that. So preparation, like everything else, is exactly what you want to be having. I use a thickness planer that I've got over here to make it all the same thickness, and then I use the table saw to cut it into these same size strips. After that, then they go on to the sled. This is a Pete Markin sled that I've had now probably a year or so. Hell, it was so damn good that we bought one for the wood club that I belong to. This thing is a excellent piece of equipment.
So this is a segmenting sled by Pete Markin, and you can see the website address right there, which is petemarkinwoodturning.com. It's a two-piece sled system. You have your moving piece on the left-hand side, and you have your stationary piece on the right-hand side. And I'll let Ed continue to explain it to you.
Okay, this sled right here, it's almost idiot-proof, which is one of the main selling factors for me anyway. Because what you can do with this is that you can change all of these different settings. These numbers that you see here, that's the number of segments. It's got nothing to do with degrees. If you have it on 10, there's going to be 10 segments in that particular ring. You can go all the way out to 144. I never do. That's way beyond my pay grade right there. But the idea is that you can go from one setting to another with complete assurance that when you start your cutting, everything is going to be exactly the same. This little line here is just a reference line, but this peg is what holds it securely in place, along with these little locking knobs here. You run it back and forth, nice and smooth, everything is cool.
So right now we have it on 12 segments.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, and
12
this
is my favorite one.
Okay, and this section over here?
This is a measuring section over here. This is for your stop. And the way that it works, as all of you already pretty much know, is that it's going to allow me to make my piece the same length every time. I make sure that this edge here is absolutely parallel to the saw blade, because that means that whenever I bring my piece up to get the reference, I can touch it anywhere along this line here, and it's still going to be exactly the same length. Okay, one of the things that you have to know is what size are you going to be making your piece. Let's say this is going to be a 6-inch piece. I need to know how far from the blade back to the stop that needs to be so that I'll get a 6-inch diameter. The way you do that is you take the diameter 6 times pi 3.14 and then divide it by the number of segments that you're going to want to have in your ring. You do that on every one that you do. If you want to change the diameter to being larger, then you just go ahead and use this very same formula. This number here always stays the same. The number of segments is up to you, and how big you want it, that's up to you also.
So we're going to do a 6-inch diameter.
Yeah,
we're going to multiply that by pi, which is 3.14.
Right.
And then we're going to divide that by the number of segments, and the number of segments that we've chosen to run with today is going to be 12.
That's right, which gives me the number 1.57. I've done it a million times, so I know that number.
Okay, so we need to take and adjust this to 1.57
That's
for that
right.
distance.
That's what we have to do. And I have to get out the pinky blinders for this. So that there's 1 inch. On that 16, that's 1.5 inches. And I'm going to go one little fuzzy one right past that inch there, and then tighten this down. This controls this angle. This controls this away, okay? Okay, this next project that I'm going to show you, I'm just going to cut up a few pieces, glue up a few pieces, flatten a few pieces, and then I'm going to demonstrate with the other setup that I have, the other project that I have, how we go about doing the alignment and the glue up. So there's 2 different projects going on, so don't get all confused on me. This here's Purple Heart. This here is a really nice white maple. You can see that some of these aren't exactly the same thickness or the same width. That's not a big concern. I'd rather have it off a little bit on the width of them than on the thickness of them. The thickness is the key on all of this stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and chop these here up a little bit. One of the things that I like to do is that I like to mark the piece so that I know the orientation. And that's just a simple little line like that. Some guys do it that way, and then they put one down this way too. I don't know if either one of them are necessary, but you kind of go with how you're taught, so that's what I've been doing. Make sure you get something like this right here. This right here will keep your fingers away from that damn blade, and this is just used to steer the segments out of the way so that they don't come back into the saw like you've all seen before and whack you someplace upside the head. Okay, I'm going to cut off and make my first angle. This angle this way here is 15 degrees. It's 15 degrees this way, giving you a total of 30. 30 times the 12 gets you back to the 360, so everything's nice and easy. Okay, here we go. I'm going to change up this size one. I'm going to make this smaller. That way there, I'm sure that I can get a whole ring out of one board. This, I'm putting a little bit of pressure down and away. Okay, you can see that this is too short to come and use it down here. So be careful, turn it over, bring it out like it is, like right there. Get a good hold on it, obviously. Keep your fingers out of the damn way and run it through. Okay, so it's from the bottom to the top on this particular one. I always try to get the one ring out of one board at least. But by having them all milled up the same, you don't waste any because you can get another board, put it right next to it, and it's going to be just like that right there was. Be very careful on this last little cut right here.